Americans who've been to or traveled to Europe, what's something Europe has changed in your mind that now you can't let go?
Okay, so back in 2018, I believe it was, I went to Ireland for 10 days. Literally the prettiest place I've ever been. If you have a chance to go, you should 100% take it because it was awesome. I'm just going to give a list of things that I thought were really cool about Ireland. I don't know if it's changed my perception of the world or of Europe, but things that I thought were better that we should probably do here is their restroom doors go all the way down to the floor and don't have cracks in the doorway where you have to lock it, like our freaking public bathrooms. Like, whoever thought that that was a good idea to have the bathroom door a foot off the ground and then there's a crack in every door where it locks so you can just happen to glance and make eye contact with someone dropping a deuce. But I think probably the biggest shift that being over there gave to me was I don't really think I have some sort of like American superiority complex that I used to have. It's not that I don't like the US, like obviously I live here, I love my country, but I just became more interested in other countries around the world, and I no longer have this idea that like unless you're living here, you're not actually free, or your life must be worse than mine because you don't live in the US. After having met a lot of people that live in Ireland or live in some of the surrounding countries, that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I became so obsessed with Ireland in the years following that I legitimately, like, we've looked at moving there before because I'm so obsessed with it.
I would say for me, I lived in Italy for a year and a half when I was 11. And I noticed when we visit Barcelona, Spain, they view nudity very differently than Americans. And they don't sexualize it as much as Americans do. And I say that because there was a poster board or something up. My mom made me cover my eyes. And I was just like, why that was the case, where there was just kids younger than that just walking around looking at it. I didn't understand it, but they view nudity and sexuality completely different than America. So that's what I definitely learned from living overseas and traveling overseas.
Why are American grocery stores so damn slow? And also, why are all the cashiers standing?
I studied abroad in Florence, Italy, 10 years ago. This past January, it was 10 years. And the one thing that got me was how manufactured politeness is in the United States. And they gave us like this whole assimilation seminar before we flew over there. And they were like, don't wear logoed clothing and don't smile at people in the street because they'll think you're crazy. And also, the more that you try to fit in, the less that they'll treat you like shit. And so I went and I bought me some Italian clothes and I assimilated. I had a wonderful time. And I mean, on habit, I definitely smiled at a few people in the streets and got that look of what the is wrong with you. So I stopped, and I had a friend that just super white girl. She wore Abercrombie sweatshirts and she didn't try to speak the language, and they treated her like dog shit. They didn't want to help her. They just treated her like an American. Whereas the group of us, we went in and we tried to speak the language. We butchered it, but they laughed and they helped us. So yeah, I would definitely say the manufactured politeness and just trying to participate in the culture as a sign of respect. Take me back.
I travel to Europe several times a year, and this fact has stuck out to me like a sore thumb every single time I go. Healthcare. Americans think we have the best healthcare system in the world, but our for-profit healthcare system does nothing but line the pockets of executives while spending twice as much as every other developed country that has universal healthcare. And the results are literally killing us. For example, maternal mortality average in America is 17 deaths per 100,000. In the European Union, it's only 8. Infant mortality in America is 5.6. In the European Union, only 3.2. Life expectancy for men is 79, and for women is 84 in the EU. In America, it's 74 for men and 80 for women. In the United States, there are 550,000 annual medical bankruptcies. In the EU, it's 0. Despite spending the most, America ranks dead last in healthcare among developed countries. The solution is clear. Vote out politicians who take big pharma money and vote in public servants who recognize healthcare as a human right.
Getting a driver's license in Germany. I think it takes a few years and I think about $2,000 to get your license in Germany. Any Germans can correct me on this if I'm wrong. But it's a rigorous process. It's not easy, and for good reason. You have the Autobahn, which are sections of the highway where you can go as fast as you want. The speed limit is 300 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn. So with that, you can't be a prick on the road. You don't own the road. If you act like you own the road and you're going slow in the left lane and you think the guy going 150 miles an hour behind you should slow down, you're screwed. Big fines, big penalties. I've heard rumors about you could lose your license for doing that if you drive slow in the left lane on the Autobahn. The road maintenance and everything there is just amazing, the way they run their whole driving system. I went 126 on the Autobahn. The person in front of me on the left lane would move about a quarter mile before I would even get close to them. They got us beat.
I lived in Italy for a summer, and when I went there, I was fairly healthy, but I got there and it's just fresh pasta, fresh pizza, fresh gelato, and I was eating that every single day. I can't even tell you how much prosciutto I had while I was out there. And I came back after the summer and I was healthier than when I had left. And not only that, when I started eating the food here in America again, I was sick. I got really sick for months. The apartment that I had in Italy, it had a small refrigerator. You get groceries for whatever you're going to cook that day. Everything is fresh. You're not doing leftovers. I've been trying to get back ever since.
I've spent about 3.5 years in Europe, mostly living in Slovenia, but also traveling extensively east and west. And I also lived in Italy for about 4 months. Europe has changed me in every way, but I'd say the most profound and fundamental is the prioritization of values. Europeans prioritize friends, family, and community. Americans prioritize careers and success. That's very evident when you go back and forth just by the way people spend their time and have conversations. In Slovenia, I was meeting my friends every day in the center at 4 p.m. to have coffee and shoot the shit. Americans are much more focused on their careers, and it's harder to do that. We're also much more spread out. But I believe that I was happier there, people were happier there, and that makes me think that they are more in tune with the way we should be living.
Hi, I'm Nobody, an American who's been living in the Netherlands for 2 years. And frankly, it's all the things that add up to quality of life. Education, transport, healthcare, food, cost of housing, access to infrastructure, art and culture. It's all of those things. Imagine a world where you don't have to own a car, where you can take a bicycle or a bus or a train anywhere you want to go and it's affordable. That your healthcare doesn't bankrupt you and is available to you, and you can get same-day appointments. It's freedom from paperwork. My taxes take me less than a day to get done. It's green spaces in my neighborhood with art that allow me to really enjoy my life. It's worker conditions that allow me to have nights and weekends to myself as well as my 24 days of statutory vacation. It's pretty awesome, and I can't imagine life without it.
I'll go first. I don't know about y'all, but I've had the chance to spend 2 weeks in Finland over the last couple years, and it's changed a lot about my perspective. But currently what I'm battling is that I just had to leave 2 supermarkets because our meat is disgusting. In Helsinki, all the salmon was so rich. I mean, granted, the harbor's right there, but literally the salmon was almost like grapefruit colored. Our sickly, nasty orange salmon. Bleh! And it's like I don't even relate to chicken here anymore. The chicken wings in Finland are so little and crispy and light. The chicken wings here, the fat layer is just so thick. There's fat inside on the bone, like Finland literally would never. Even our beef looks gray. Our meat quality has to be making us sick because there's no way. These animals are sick and they're still feeding them to us. They cannot continue eating corn. We don't digest corn, neither do they. And even if they're pasture raised, what about the pesticides in the pasture? This country is 6 degrees of fucked up. Finland, me please.
I spent 3 months traveling around Europe, mostly through Germany, the Netherlands, France. I took 1 Uber, 2 Ubers the whole time I was there. Most of it I was on public transport or trains, and it was so easy to navigate the country. I don't speak Dutch. I do speak a little German. I don't speak any French. And I was able to navigate all of it. I live in Dallas, and if I did not have a car, I'd be stuck. Because the public transportation here in this city, but mostly across the country, is garbage. It's upsetting. It's truly upsetting.